Hi.
Good. I would say
Hello.
good afternoon here in Vermont.
Uh,
Hello.
Hi, for me too. It is a start. 12 right away. We are on the same time zone. It's true.
Nice. It's still pretty early here. It's 9 a.m., a little cloudy, but I'm here. And funny thing is when we did that, I was trying to turn on Substack and I actually turned on recording, so that was funny. So, wow. So how are you today, so?
I'm pretty good. I'm still I feel like I'm in a slow motion because I have to still recover from a long trip, like the whole like driving to the airport and then coming back
Mm-hmm.
by plane and then driving again home and then trying to get, go back into the whole like daily life, tons of washing and then going around the house. I haven't gone to the grocery store yet, but yeah. So I'm okay, but slowly but surely. But glad to be back here today. Hey, so how are
You're going
you,
to need
Beth?
your vacation.
I'm sorry, what?
You're going to need a vacation from your vacation.
My daughter said that, and she's 17. Can you imagine?
I'm doing great. I am happy to be here with the Grammy Phil. This is one I have just been waiting for. I love all our guests, but this one is special in my heart and soul. And so, Grammy Phil, welcome to Time for Life.
Well, thank you. Thank you
uh,
for having me on. I'm a little
this
nervous, so
I am too, so we're all good.
I think me too because I'm trying to I'm gonna tell everyone like I just the chat is I'm in the chat but it's on my tab because I'm outside so I don't have two screens anyways. So I'm not gonna be able to chat much, but I can see the chat. So hi, Courtney's
Okay.
in, Sarah, Jandro, hi, thank you, Jay, Monica. Hey, Jay.
Hello.
Anyway, so I'm just like, and so fun to see Grammy Phil. Are you able, guys, to see the chat as well?
I cannot see the chat. I'm looking for it. But
I
go
just
ahead. But go ahead.
clicked on
If we
chat, but
can't
I don't see
interact
anything.
in the chat, um, maybe somebody can update us on it. Because I
Yeah,
am
I'll be
excited to.
reading. I'll be reading the chat if there are
Okay.
questions. So at least I can see it, but I'm not going to be able to just because I have a finger on my tab, so that doesn't work very well. So welcome, Grammy Phil.
Thank you.
Uh, we are so happy to have you with us. Welcome to Time
If
for Life. Go
if
ahead, Beth. We're
nobody
just
if
so
you don't
excited.
know Grammy Phil is Nick Perrow's mom, and of course Nick is close to our hearts, and our group has a lot of respect and love for him, and so I'm excited to hear from a woman who has raised such an incredible human. So
Oh
thank you for
yes.
that.
Practice,
Oh
practice,
yes.
practice. He's my third and my youngest.
Is he's the baby? Ah,
He's the
yes.
baby.
What brings you joy?
What brings me actually a lot of things bring me joy. So it's hard to um, think about all of them. Obviously, my family. My husband and I have been together maybe 41 years. Well, hold on. Let me.
Congratulations.
My husband is trying. Um,
Life's live.
life lives. He'll wait. Um, my family, my husband and I have been married. We got married in '86, so 40 years this summer. Um, been together 41. Known each other longer than that. My children. I have a stepson. He is John's son from his first marriage, but I have raised him since he turned 11 right before John and I got married. Um, but his biological mother was not involved. So I am mom to him. I'm really the only mom. She left when he was 2 or 3. And so I'm really the only mom that he's ever known. And then we have a middle child, all boys, um, Jeremy and then Nick. And now, because I have 3 sons who are all married, I have some daughters finally, or daughter-in-laws.
Oh, wonderful.
And funny that all of the boys each had a girl. So I have granddaughters too, and grandsons. So we did break the Pero curse of having all boys. Yeah. So the
Well,
family
I
did,
would in the
what?
past it wouldn't have been a curse, right? Just getting
Oh
boys. I
no,
mean,
I'm
you're like,
definitely a boy mom. I'll take girls when they're grown up. I'm definitely a boy mom.
I had 2 of each. I had 2 girls, then 2 boys. So I was fortunate to have it all.
I'm gonna
Yep.
go put my cat in the outside.
We
No,
love
I'm
this
saying
before.
outside, inside. Just a
I'm
second.
waiting for Jasmine to start barking. My pets, we've had 4 dogs. We got our first one when Nick was still in high school. Then we got 2. We got a second one with him. Then as one passed, we would add to another. Now we're down to just one. Our Jasmine girl, she's a golden shepherd. So
Oh.
we were told her mom is a German shepherd, and then she's got a lot of golden in her, and we think some collie. She's a big, giant ball of fuzz.
I have a Shepherdor,
Okay.
Lab Shepherd, 80 pounds. Yes.
Yep, that's about her. And her newest thing is, and this does truly bring me joy, is in the mornings after my husband gets up, if I'm still in bed, she comes running into the room and jumps up on the bed and lays next to
Aw.
me and gives me morning kisses. So that's a lot of fun. So my family, my
Oh.
pets bring me joy. Nature, being
I
out,
would.
being campus.
I was about to say like pets. I don't know why is it that pets. I mean, I don't know why, but kids and pets kind of get go together. I mean, for me, it was just natural. I mean, and now I have 4 cats, so it's like I always feel like I'm compensating for something. But anyway, so
I never had animals growing up. Heinz, the dog we got when Nick was in high school, was my first ever. No, I shouldn't say that. I had cats when I was married to my ex-husband, and when we divorced, we each got a cat. I got one, he got. That was our big custody battle. I got one, he got one. We didn't have any children, but I grew up in apartments, so we never had pets. And then when the boys were much younger, we had guinea pigs. We had a guinea pig who we didn't realize was pregnant when we got her, so we ended up with 2 guinea pigs. We had a turtle, and that was really about it, because neither my husband or I felt comfortable having dogs that we would have to keep in kennels all day long, because we
You're
were
right.
both working full time. And he spent a lot of time traveling, because he was still active duty in the Vermont Guard before he retired, and he spent a lot of time traveling. So it would have been me with pets and 3 children. And that's a lot when you come home. My job was very demanding. I loved it. And that's another thing that brought me joy. I retired 2 years ago this year in 2024, after 27 years in the same school district. I'm a retired school psychologist.
I
So
love that.
that brought me a lot of joy, helping kids to realize that the potential they had, even with disabilities, was huge. Helping families realize the potential their children had with their disabilities, because children rise to a level of expectation. If you tell them they can't do that because they have a disability, then they're not going to try. If you can tell them they can do it despite their disability, and that's where the phrase, and Beth, I know you you liked it as soon as I said it, is I'm a person with a disease or a disorder. I am not a disorder with a person. And when we fit children into that role where they're a disability with a person instead of a child with a disability, we limit their possibilities.
We do. That really hits home. My son, I found out when he was 7.5 months old that he had severe hemophilia, and that I carried the gene. And I was adopted, so I wasn't aware that I carried this gene and passed it on to my son. Hemophilia A, severe, the inability to clot. And we were pulled into a room and basically told that our lives were over
Yep.
and that he needed a helmet and we needed to keep him this and do this. And every time he, hit himself, we had to drive hours to the children's hospital. And I started reading and researching and saying, no, he does not have to be this way. And I had to do a lot of battles with a lot of doctors and saved his joints because of it. Because a lot of children with hemophilia back in the day, prior to it being taken care of at home, the more time that passes, the more damage is done to the joint and the more pain the person is in. And so I was able to do it at home. So yes, allowing a disabled child to be part of the family and
Which is
part
why
of the system.
which is why this whole thing going on right now with disability rights hits very hard
Yes.
in many ways, not just because of my own family members or myself with hidden disabilities, but for the kids that I work for. So my job brought me a lot of joy over the years. I'm still connected. I'm still working. I have one more semester. I teach, and that at graduate level, that brings me a lot of joy too, because it's kind of nice to go from the elementary level, which is where I was working, to teaching at the graduate level and teaching students who chose to come back to school because they wanted, they were in a path. I teach in a clinical psych program. That's actually what my degree is in. And then I did extra stuff to get my certification so I could become a school psychologist. So education, learning brings me joy. I love finding out new things. I am at the stage of my life where I feel like everything new I learned pushes something old out. And I'm not sure I want to push too much old out. So, but I do enjoy, learning.
That's interesting. That it
I think
pushes
we have
everything.
a lot of wisdom.
Wow. I mean, sorry, I'm just also trying to concentrate on the chat because I'm just going to repeat what I said at the beginning. Guys, we see the chat. Well, I see the chat, but I'm not able to text because it's on my tab, because as you can see, I'm outside and we have 31 people with us right now. So I'm just trying to monitor, but everybody's saying like they're happy. Beautiful Beth Cruz, so Grammy. Sorry. So anyways, I no worries. Yes, thank you. So I'm just gonna repeat it to the people who joined that we're not going to be able to type in the chat today, but just flag me if you have a specific question and I'll try to interrupt and pass it on. But so go ahead. I mean, learning, we were talking about learning. How I think this is what we have in common, the three of us too, because I absolutely love learning. When I've had difficult periods in my life, I've always gone back to learning, and it's really like got me out of just, put myself into action, activate my brain, just start connecting the dots. And it was like, woohoo. And Grammy Phil, I think, well, you must know by now. I mean, I have a master's in psychology. For me, you're basically, this kind of feels personal because you've basically, well, from what you're telling me, you have lived the life. I mean, the professional path I wish I could have continued. And it is what I did. I mean, I started right away. I was in the school and I did 1 year as a school psychologist with the little ones. And that turned out, well, anyways, so many things happened. So it didn't work out. And then afterwards, I stayed, I remained a psychologist for about 7 years. And then at one point I just gave up because I had too much S in my life. And anyway, so this is part of my chronic illness. I have CPTSD and it's really affecting my emotional regulation. And when you're a psychologist, it's really hard to just, not take everything so to heart. I mean, and you must know, I mean, it really, it's how do you dissociate, what other people are feeling? And, you're trying not to let it affect you too much. But when you've got other stuff that's, despite yourself affecting you too much, then it's like, whoa. And then I just got overwhelmed. So I just changed path. And then I went and I learned something new again. So anyways, segue into learning.
How do you take time though for you, Grammy Phil? How do you take time for life when you like us, have chronic illness and chronic pain?
The first thing I learned, and I'm still learning and still fighting it, is to not allow myself to feel guilty if I take time for myself.
Right,
Um,
right.
God love my
That's a
mother.
hard one.
Yes, it is. And especially if you grow up, well, if you grew up in a Jewish household, if you grew up in a Catholic household, if you grew up in any household with a mother, a Jewish household here, I tried very hard not
Catholic.
to instill that in my children, was
Mhm.
that you need to be productive. And
Yes.
if you need to go to school, you need to get an education, you need to do this, you need to do that. And so then as a mother, you put your children first before you put yourself first, or when you're first married, your husband becomes first, and then your children become first. And I can remember sitting back one day and thinking, I don't ever think twice about buying something for my kids or buying a gift for my husband. But when it comes to buying something for myself, I think about, oh, how much does it cost? Is it too expensive? I'd spend the same thing on my children without thinking twice about it, but not for myself,
I was that way.
That guilt factor plays into it. As I've gotten older, and I've realized that especially after getting diagnosed, I got diagnosed with my fibro when Nick was about 2 years old, because my muscles stopped working and I started dropping him. And I had a migraine that wouldn't quit. Like 6 months I went with a migraine that never stopped. And the doctor, of course, sent me to a neurologist to see if I had MS. And when I didn't, and you guys will relate to this, when I didn't have MS, the neurologist said to me, "Oh, it's all in your head."
Yes.
And I looked at him and I said, "You're right, it's all in my head. I have a headache that has not stopped for 6 months. I go to bed every night in pain. I wake up every night in pain." And I will be honest, it was the closest I ever came to thinking about not wanting to stay alive.
Yes.
Because I was in so much pain. I finally worked with my primary care physician, who was actually the one who diagnosed the fibro. And of course, back then, I'm a bit older than all of you. They weren't treating fibro with anything but antidepressants.
Oh.
So they put me.
But don't they still do that? I mean,
Yes,
for
they
me,
still
I
do.
don't
Yes,
get anything.
they do that, but they also have things like Lyrica and gabapentin.
Oh, yes.
None of which I can take, by the way.
Yeah.
I react to both of them. I can't take either one of them.
Of course.
Well,
right?
Lyrica, and what's the other name? Because I tried both of them too. And
Cymbalta.
I do.
Cymbalta too.
Yeah. Well, also,
But that's an antidepressant, though. Anyway, sorry, we're getting lost in. This is for chronic illness podcast.
Used for fibro. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, duloxetine is also used for, which I think is the other name for Cymbalta, because that's what I'm on now.
Same. Yeah.
And so
I just went off that.
And so, here I had this little baby, and things were not going well because I was afraid I was going to hurt him. Not because I was going to hurt him, like physically hurt him, but I was going to hurt him because I dropped him. I also fell off my bicycle several times. But once I had a diagnosis, it brought a lot of things together and it allowed me to move forward. But I also at one point said, I don't want to take meds anymore. So I stopped taking meds and I started exercising. And exercising helped me control my pain better than the medication did, which, oh, by the way, when they first put me on it, they put me on amitriptyline and I gained 40 pounds. Well, I was already overweight. I didn't need to gain another 40 pounds.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, joy then was losing the weight and feeling like myself again. But all of these things, when you have a chronic illness, when you work full time, when you have 3 kids at home, and I had a teenager, a toddler, and an infant at home, and I went back to graduate school. So in all of this mix, I went to graduate school. Not,
it's a lot.
Graduate school is what I did for me. That was my time. And I would study and I would write at night after everybody was in bed, which is how I became such a night owl. Because that was the only time I could work. When you have an infant and you have a teenager and you have a toddler, they need you. Yeah. But I'd walk around my house, and and listen to my children snore and my husband snore while I was studying. on the, so, when I look back on it, I think, how the hell did I do that? How did I have enough spoons to get through
Yes.
a chronic illness, 3 children, and a husband and a job? But somehow
It's
we do it.
amazing.
Somehow we
We
do it.
do.
We have
Yeah.
to. We
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. My daughter said to me yesterday, my youngest daughter said, Mom, I don't know how you did it. She sent me a text. She says, my cat needs this. Our sewer is having problems, whatever issue they're having over there. She goes, I don't know how you did it with 4 kids. And I said, I think it was probably, I didn't know at the time, but I think it was my ADHD. I mean, I was
Mhm.
just diagnosed last month. And in hindsight, I think I did what I had to do. That's what we do as moms, as dads, as
I think you
parents.
lived in fight or flight mode
Yes.
the
Mhm.
whole time.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's it. I agree. And plus, we have to also realize that, I mean, right away, what I'm thinking, we do have more energy when we're younger, you know? So
Mhm.
it kind of like feels like right now, I'm like, oh my God, do you know what I mean? Like, but, when I was 24, not the same as, being, well, I didn't have kids at 24, but still, I had a lot of going, like, still just finishing school. And but
Mhm.
then when I had my daughter, 33, I could tell right away, compared to my cousins who'd had kids much younger, like, in their
Mhm.
20s. And I was like, well, now I need to nap in the afternoon, and that just started once I had my daughter. I mean, I mean, since then I haven't stopped napping in the afternoon. So I think it also has to do with the energy. So I don't know.
My
Mhm.
grandchildren think I'm crazy when I say to them, go take a nap. Oh, Grandma, we're too old to take a nap. It's like, oh, honey, you don't understand. When you get to be my age, you realize guess what you missed out by not taking naps when you were young.
Mhm.
But
Uh,
those you asked how you find time. Well, now that I'm older and I'm not working full time,
mhm.
I still get guilt about sitting in the chair and reading for a couple of hours. But I do it because that's what I like to do. It makes me happy to read a book. It makes me happy to sit and play a mindless game on my iPad just because I don't have to think about it for a while. That's what helps.
Right.
That's kind of what brings my brain down at night. When I get overwhelmed
Mhm.
like I am right now with everything going on, I can't shut my brain off at night. And you guys with fibro know you don't sleep
Mhm.
anyway.
Ah,
No, no.
I always say to people when they actually are talking about sleep, and I kind of like addicts, like I don't do it on purpose, because I'm like, I always get like the comment like, what, like, about my sleep, because it's so, I mean, I never, it's really weird. At night, I just fall asleep like almost right away,
Mhm.
or I need to some occupy my brain because it's still going, and then I am able to, but then I never sleep through the night. Like, I always wake up like at least twice, and then I try not to get up, but if
Well,
I have to, I'll do
I
so.
have that little old lady bladder, the commercial where she holds the
Yes.
bladder
Oh yeah,
walking. That's me and my bladder walking around. So yeah, it's constant. So yeah, I wake up at night a lot. But I've never been
And
able to nap ever.
uh
So if I
that's
sleep, I'm sick.
Yep, exactly. I mean, once in a while
Mhm.
I'll take a cat nap or power nap, as I like to call them. But if I sleep for more than 15 to 20 minutes during the day, then I'm sick or I'm
Yeah.
recovering from like when I had my back surgery. And even then, John would have to say to me, put things down and take a nap. Your body needs you to sleep in order to heal.
Mhm.
But people who don't have a neuromuscular disorder don't understand that we never really heal
that's
because
No.
right.
we
It's
don't
more
get
like
the
you
stage.
endure.
We
You
don't get,
endure.
yeah, we do because we don't get the stage 4 sleep needed for our bodies to heal. That's REM sleep, and that stage 4 sleep is when you dream, but it's also when your body heals. And that's
I,
hard to come by when you have fibro.
When it's
I don't need
constantly
to
inflamed, yes.
Yes.
because I've gotten I actually, it's kind of, I really understand my symptoms better. I've gotten the ring, like the galaxy ring, and it was just charging. And it does, I don't know how accurate it is, but you can tell when you have deep sleep, light sleep, and REM. And
My
I've
garment
sort
does
of,
the same thing.
yeah, I sort of read though, it's pretty accurate. Like when I have deep sleep, because that's what I've read, that's more when your body, recovers, and then the REM is for your brain and
If you breathe.
concentration and learning.
Mhm.
So but I can really tell, like, what, I'm like, oh, like my, during the day, like, oh, my brain is foggy or something, and I'm like, okay, oh, not enough REM. And then it's like when if I feel like I'm starting to have a fibro crisis, usually it's because I didn't have like deep sleep, so my body's just like heavy. And anyway, sorry, we're just
Mhm.
getting into all our symptoms right now because
But that-
it is hard to find joy
Because it
when
is
you
part
have
of
so much
our time for
challenges,
life, really.
all of those
Yeah.
things add up in our ability, Beth, you're right, in our ability to find joy in things, because it's hard to be joyful when you're in pain.
It is.
Absolutely.
It shades it,
Spot
it
on.
colors it. And so I never really had to work hard, never pretend to be joyful. I mean, I'll put a smile on my face, but my family knows what's behind that smile a lot of the time. But things that truly bring me joy light me up. Taking a walk outside, being outside, listening to, when Nick was in college, his first major was music composition. So listening to music that he wrote, being able to sit in my office at school and get online and listen to a choral concert at Carnegie Mellon when he was singing in the choir. Those things bring me joy, true joy, because I hit right down to the soul. When my kids accomplish things, when my husband accomplishes things, and from time to time when I feel like I accomplish things,
Mhm.
I never give myself enough credit. That brings true joy. Spending a week camping where I have no obligations and I don't feel guilty sitting out in front of the camper for an hour, hours at a time, reading a book or just
Mhm.
relaxing, brings me joy. True
Yes,
joy.
Jason is asking, is this Nick Sparrow's mother? Yes, Jason. We said it. Yes, he says hi. And then also Courtney says, that's lovely, Grammy. That what you just
Mhm.
described about. And yes, if I can also mention, so you must be happy when you hear Nick's has put his composition at the beginning of some of his shows,
Yep.
or is it all of his shows? Anyway, so it is great. I mean, and please let me state how much it brings us joy. I mean, I've known Nick for about a year, and
Mhm.
or was it a little bit earlier than that? And it was just right away when he mentioned like that he had fibro. I was like, wow. I mean, for me, it was like I don't necessarily talk to a lot of people who have fibro. Do you know what I mean? Like, or back
Mhm.
then.
Yep.
So it's like, wow,
Yeah.
somebody who knows what it's like to have like, all of these mixed up issues. And then, yeah. And also who has been through a lot, we won't get into it, but, and so it was, anyways, I just want to say that I'm very grateful because Nick has been part of. I mean, look at me. I'm in Canada, Quebec, and we sort of like, we knew we wanted. Well, I knew I wanted to do something with my Substack, but it's like I kind of needed friends to do it along with. And I mean, I am so glad. I when I saw Nick, I was like, okay, this is a star. Like he's gonna rise in this Substack. Like I knew it like somehow. so I'm just that's sorry, go ahead, Beth.
Oh, I'm just listening. I'm just listening. No, he's Nick is my oldest son's age. He was born in 1990 as
Yep.
well. And so I feel like he's another son to me, and just I've learned so much from him that it's just amazing. So thank you for all that you have taught him, because he's a good human.
I tried. I came into motherhood thinking there are certain things I want to impart on my children.
Right.
Um, and
Mhm.
one of them is just being good, being nice, being kind. And I used to tell them all the time that if I heard that they were bullying somebody, if they were hurting somebody, they wouldn't have to worry about that other person's parents because they'd have to deal with me first. He'd have to deal with me first.
Yes.
His father, because his father doesn't abide by that either. And so I think we did okay overall. I don't always agree politically with all of my children. Nick is definitely the child I'm more the closest I'm aligned with politically, but I love all of my children, and
Absolutely.
they've all turned into good people, pretty good, damn good people. So I'm happy about that.
Gotta love it.
If I may add, Survivor Story is just saying intelligence masculinity is so necessary and much needed versus Hexet type toxicity. So, I mean, that is, and it's not easy to talk about intelligence masculinity. I mean, I commend, I have a lot of admiration because it's not easy to get that topic out on the public, the sound is
No, I turned mute on. My hubby came home and he's talking to the dog in the background, and I didn't want to. I wasn't sure if you were picking him up or not. It's hard. Well, the intelligent masculinity doesn't just come from me. His father has always been a good man, and the boys have been raised. The boys have been
you can
raised
see it all.
to see that men work with their wives as opposed to making their wives do everything. My husband has always been the cook in our family. I won't say I'm a terrible cook, but he's a hell of a lot better than I am. Well, he cooked for many years. He cooked for himself and our eldest son. So he learned how to cook. He was always a good cook. And after he retired and I was still working, John took over that piece. So the boys grew up not only seeing their father doing woodworking, which, oh, by the way, they've all inherited from him. They're all very good woodworkers, including Nick.
Seen some of his pieces, yes.
I don't think there's anything he can't do. I said the only thing, and he'll probably figure it out, is he can't give birth right now. But I'm sure he figures it out. He'll probably do that too.
He wouldn't be able to stand the pain. If men had to squeeze a baby out of a hole as small as we do, they would not do it again.
No.
Sorry.
No.
I love you guys, but it wouldn't happen. But they grew up. They watched their father be in the military and not be an authoritarian in the house. So they grew up knowing that not all military men, and all three of our boys are veterans.
Wow.
Wonderful. So thank you all for your service.
So they grew up seeing that you don't have to be an authoritarian just because you're in the military. They grew up seeing their father do woodworking, but also cooking. And so that juxtaposition of seeing their father do things that would, especially woodworking versus cooking, of male versus typically female job,
absolutely
allowed them. I mean, my boys had upstairs one of those Hasbro woodworking shops, but they also had a kitchen. So they imitated their father, and all three of the boys are excellent cooks. All three of them do woodworking. That's my husband. The psychological piece of it is me. I'm the more logical. I can't say I'm the more logical. My husband's giving me a face as I said I'm the more we approach things a little bit differently, but I approach things from a psychological perspective. And so my boys grew up in some way knowing that asking for help wasn't a bad thing, although it took all of them a long time before they were willing to do that. So seeing them grow up and seeing them become good men and good husbands brings both my husband and I a tremendous amount of joy. Because what more can you ask for in life than to see your kids grow up to be successful, good people?
Yes.
That is beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
So touching.
I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna cry live. I love that. But cheer up. I think that's hits it. It's what we do. And then here we are at this stage of our lives, and we look for joy, because if my whole life was my children. And then I was like, oh, who am I?
Yep.
And so learning now what makes me and what brings me joy. Have you noticed a difference in your life of what's changed? I mean, obviously your family stays, that they bring you joy. But have you things changed for you? You're finding joy more in nature, more being
Definitely.
out?
I grew up in the city. I grew up in New York City and then Baltimore and then went to college in Pittsburgh. Got married right after college, went over to Germany for 4 years, came back.
Wow.
This is the longest I've ever lived in one place, and I've been here 41 years.
Wow.
We didn't camp my husband camped with our boys when they were younger because our boys were all Boy Scouts. And I did the Cub Scout thing, but when they turned Boy Scout age, my husband took over. I always felt it was important for when they got to that point in life that their father be doing that type of thing. I was the one that got the job of talking about the facts of life and all that because of my psychological background. I can still remember one of my sons asking me, Mom, and it wasn't Nick, how can you talk to other people? How can you talk to me about this kind of stuff? He was really embarrassed. And I said to him, honey, if I can talk to other people's children about this kind of stuff, it's easy to talk to you. But we traveled. We went to the ocean every summer. We took the kids to Maine every summer. That was our big travel when we were working full time. And I mean, I was lucky. I had the summers off because I worked in schools, so I could be with the kids, but my husband was working. We came to camping later in life. The boys we're spending our children's inheritance.
As you should.
We bought a tag-along camper. And it was, we had traveled before that after all the kids were gone, but it was my husband and I, the truck and 2 dogs. We actually drove to Alaska from Vermont when our middle son was stationed in Fort Wainwright in Fairbanks, Alaska, which was that was was that our first big trip, John? That was our first big trip. And because I had the summers off, we were able to do that. And that we bought the camper about 4 or 5 years later. And that, who'd have thought this girl from the city would enjoy camping?
Right.
So we bought we bought a smaller travel trailer, a tag along, and we loved it. And so we ended up buying a fifth wheel 4 years ago, and we usually spend the summers on the road. And that brings a tremendous amount of joy to see as much craziness is going on in this country right now. This country is incredibly beautiful.
Yes.
And we have spent time doing national parks and other places. That's one of our big things, is to go to the national parks. And we have a big map on the side of the camper with what states we've been in. But we also have we also have a thing above the map of symbols from the different national parks that we visit. And when I retired, my school bought me this water bottle, and it's got all the national parks on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
So have you been out to Washington?
We have not. We haven't done the Pacific Northwest yet. We haven't done the Deep South yet. There's actually a couple of states in New England we haven't done yet either. We use part of that as our time to visit our children.
Right.
And then we kind of have our own place to stay as well, because I do think it's a good thing to have separation when you go to visit your children. So being able to spend time during the days and the evenings with them, but then go to our camper for the night is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So
we have family and friends, and we ended up just, getting an Airbnb to be close and just to have our times to ourselves. It's I understand.
That's definitely a joy I have found later in life, is traveling.
Yes.
And the camping. And now this year we went for our very first time on a river cruise. We went on a Viking river cruise to Europe.
Oh, how was that?
Oh my God, it was amazing.
And
absolutely.
what was the
We
the
started, well,
route?
we started in, we added on to the beginning of the cruise, to land part to the beginning of the cruise. So we started in Prague,
Wow.
and we spent 3 days in Prague, and then Viking brought us from Prague to the boat in Nuremberg, and we sailed from Nuremberg to Basel, Switzerland,
Mm,
with all kinds of stops in between. And it was
sounds
amazing.
beautiful.
It was
Beautiful.
absolutely amazing. We had done
Sounds
one
dreamy.
of those big cruises. Vikings are
Mm.
small cruises. I mean, there were 185 passengers on the boat.
Oh, wow.
Small cruises,
Nice.
no children. It's all adults.
Nice. Even nicer.
No casino. It's very more into history about where you're visiting.
Mhm.
They brought somebody on the boat for a night to sing. They had a couple from the Ukraine actually who sang opera for us. Um, they had a speaker come in. We had a cooking demonstration. We had a glass blowing demonstration. Things like that. There's no casino. There's no big shows,
Mhm.
but it
Yeah.
was so relaxing. And the ability to walk around. My husband chose this route particularly because we went. One of the stops was Bamberg, Germany, which is actually where we met as friends. Um,
Oh.
and so traveling is amazing. There's so much to see, but traveling the United States, I had no clue. I didn't grow up doing that kind of thing. My parents both worked full time. We
In the
didn't.
Mhm.
If we traveled, we went up to the Catskills. Which is
Mhm.
what Jewish families did back then. You went up to the Catskills, and my parents were competitive bridge players. They were ballroom dancers, so we
Oh,
would go
wow.
up for them to compete you know, engage in competitions. We didn't travel just to travel.
Hmm.
Now that's my
See the
husband and
sights.
I do that. Yeah, we didn't necessarily travel to see the sights. And I love it. So yes, that's a newfound joy over the last maybe 15 years. Um,
Mhm.
and when our kids were young, it would have been hard. They were busy with sports.
Mhm.
They all had summer activities.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So doing what we do now, where we were travel for months at a time, unless our kids were not involved in sports, would not have been able to do. So
Mhm.
yes, that
That's for
is
sure.
definitely a newfound joy. So, and I do have to tell you, my husband's family is French Canadian.
Oh yes, the I think the name was changed from Peru, right?
Yeah, we think at one time it was Pearrro,
Mm.
AULT,
AOT.
Perrault.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
his mother's maiden
Interesting.
his mother's maiden name is Cannell, and there is a town along the way to Alaska. There is a town of Cannell.
That is so
Wow.
that's what I like, and this brings me joy. The fact that people from all over the world can just come together,
Mhm.
and we will always, if you take the time, you will find a connection somehow. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, just over my last trip, I was talking to somebody who was from Georgia, and actually, she was from Alaska. We were at the airport, and she just started talking. I think she was waiting for her husband, and and then we ended up like chatting, just on things that, I mean, that we're interested in. Where are you from? So what did you like? Da 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 da. And it was very interesting that sorry, I cannot come up with the specific thing that we, but there was like just that genuine connection to be
Yeah.
open and to talk to someone that you'll find that like you said, there's so many people that have actually French Canadian roots, and and because especially Vermont and Quebec are so close,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
But
We're an hour and a half from Montreal.
absolutely. And so do you remember if there were some people talking French, like at some point, that you would have been able to remember some words? Or actually, that's more a question for your husband. Sorry.
My husband's grandmother was in a nursing home when he and I were together. How old was Meme?
Meme sounds very French. Meme.
Yes, it is. Meme, it's And she was 85, and she had reverted back to speaking only French Canadian. She just spoke no English
Mm.
anymore.
Can you imagine, how, I mean, your that was that just old age, or was there some sign of Alzheimer's?
Um, I think some of it was dementia, possibly. My mother-in-law, John's mother, passed from Alzheimer's.
Mm.
Because
But
I'm thinking that, yeah, when you usually you kind of go back to
yeah,
somehow to a lot of things that you
because
knew.
you remember the older things more than you remember the new. It affects new memories first, and then it causes the regression along the line. One of the things I have to tell you that brought me an incredible amount of joy when we were traveling to Alaska, when we were traveling along the Alaskan Canadian Highway, we stayed, of course, in a lot of all Canadians, mostly small, um, family-owned motels. A lot
Oh
of
Mm.
yes.
a lot of who
Mhm.
a lot of which were leased to the oil and gas workers.
Oh.
Mm,
But
that's true.
wherever we went, one of the things we discovered tremendously is that the Canadians truly love their pets. And when we stopped, we had no trouble getting reservations, even with the two dogs, ever. We were never told in any Canadian place that we stopped at that the dogs were not allowed on a bed, which we have
Oh.
been told in American hotels.
Mhm. Yes.
When we walked into a lobby with the dogs, they greeted the dogs before they greeted us, and they often came out from behind the counter with treats in their hands. So my dogs were very happy that we were traveling in Canada. And wherever we stopped to eat, everybody talked to each other in the restaurant. It wasn't
Mm.
just, couples sitting on their phones like this, not talking to each other. People wanting to know where you were going, where did you come from, what's the weather, what did you get to see. It was eye-opening
Mm,
to see strangers that open to talking to
Mhm.
people.
mm.
And it was
It
it
is.
was just so different than walking into a restaurant here in the States where you see everybody on their phones, nobody's talking to each other. It was wonderful. It was
Mhm.
Especially in small places, like, definitely. I mean,
and
and
these were all motels. Once we got past the beginning of the trip, there were no chain hotels. They were all small motels.
mm,
Mostly they had a restaurant, which might have been the only restaurant in that small town. And if you didn't get there before they closed, you didn't eat.
oh,
Right.
I'm
Right.
not surprised. We have planned some sort of getaway, road trip to Gaspésie, which is about 8 hours. And those places are very small, and it's the same. Now you kind of have. We googled the time, like now we can do that. The schedules of the restaurant to make sure that when you get there at night, where are we going to be able to eat? So
Well,
so
Right.
that rings a
Right.
bell.
my husband, the first time he went up to Alaska with our middle son, when Jeremy called him when he got his orders and said, "Dad, do you want to drive to Alaska with me?" And he went with him. So you know what the Alaskan up that way is like in the winter. They drove up to
Mm.
Alaska in November over
That must be.
over Thanksgiving, that weekend leave. They spent Thanksgiving. Where were you? Destruction Bay?
Hayes Junction, Yukon.
They were in Haines Junction, Yukon for
Mm.
Thanksgiving. Their Thanksgiving dinner was Chinese food because it was the only place open. And it was 35 degrees below zero when
Oh
they
my
got
Oh,
there,
goodness.
and it stayed that way for the rest of the trip.
oh yeah, it
My.
is. It can get, the
I
northern you go, yeah, you have to
I went on
adjust
a
because.
cruise, my first and only cruise, just what, 3 years ago or so, to Alaska, which was absolutely remarkable. It was a Mother's Day cruise, and it was 90 degrees.
Mm.
It was sunny and gorgeous. It was unbelievable. And I found it to be beautiful. I want to go back. And of course, you might have seen my daughter just got to walk on the Arctic
Yeah.
Ocean
Yeah,
on the
I saw
ice.
that picture.
Which was absolutely amazing. And yeah, she was talking again about how nice they were there.
Yes. And that's, I think, for many Americans, have never experienced that joy because many, especially if you grow up in small communities, you don't
Hmm.
travel. Many of them
No,
don't travel
we
past
didn't.
where
I
you
have a
live.
question. Why is that? because I'm just gonna give you an example, like, or maybe it was because we were very far, but I have learned to travel very young because my family, we were within, like at least 3 to 4 hours driving distance, and my parents
Mhm.
would bring us like to go see them,
Yeah.
like aunt, cousin, all of that. So I'm wondering, why is it that, because a lot of people say that, like when I'm in, people from the States don't travel. So as a Canadian, I'm wondering, why is that?
I don't know. I mean, when I first started, I worked in a very rural community up on the Canadian border, actually.
Hmm.
And many of the kids that I worked with, some of it is socioeconomic. They can't
Mhm.
afford it.
Mhm.
And if they couldn't afford it 27 years ago when I started, or 30 years ago when I started, they certainly can't afford it now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Travel's
Mhm.
expensive. Um, they did things like camping and other things, but they stayed in a very insular, like in a county. But
Yeah, that's it.
I've met
My
You
people.
get
family
in
did.
your own.
Yeah, we've met people who don't know that Vermont is its own state. We've been asked, "Oh, is it that part of Canada? We'll join Canada. We'd be glad to join Canada." Um, or, "Oh, is
Washington wants to join Canada too, please.
all of the bordering states do?" Um, or, "Is that part of New York?" No, Vermont is its own state. We're small,
Woo.
but there's a lot of
I think the
insularity.
mentality, though, kind of, you know, well, I don't know if I'm right, but it would feel like the mentality would be, people kind of influence each other. Like,
Well, it was
you know,
when I grew up, it was work. You know,
Yep.
I grew up in a really small town in southern Michigan, and it was my dad was a factory worker, and there was our extras were a lake house
Yep.
cottage that we had, and so that was our vacation, 45 minutes
Yep.
away in the
Well,
same town. That was our summer. That's where we
yep.
stayed, and we would
My
have to
father
for the
was a
longest.
salesman. My mother was a
Yeah.
bookkeeper.
mm.
Hmm. We
You
didn't
know,
go on. I can
we
only remember one vacation we ever took.
Well,
Yeah.
my
my dad was a factory worker too, but because it was well, that maybe that's it. It was across the St. Lawrence River, so we had to take the boat to go see the family, and then drive to go see his family and my mom too. So maybe that's why we were always like going back and forth.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that openness still, even if you're staying in I don't know. It first, when you're a kid, it's hard, right? You're like, ugh, like it's long, and you're in the car, and you're like getting annoyed, and but I think that later, I don't know if you guys go back to certain things that brought you joy when you were little, like the whole like nature thing. For me, is I've always loved nature,
Water.
but
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I grew up in New York
The
City, but
water.
I was about a mile and a half from the Hudson River.
Oh,
So again, water. I love, love, love
I love water.
being anywhere near water. The
It
so
sound.
you
soothes my
feel drawn to
soul.
go back to it, right? Like it's like,
It soothes
Oh,
my
that's why we went
soul.
to Maine every summer, because it's water soothes the soul.
Hmm.
Just to sit by the ocean and listen. And the first couple of times we went, we were there, but we weren't on the water. And then we found this
Mm.
place that allowed us to be in a room, right, that we could walk out to onto the beach. Now, when we camp there, we're
Cool.
not on the water, but we're 2 miles from there. And we go down every morning before, at the time when the dogs are allowed on the beach, because they're only allowed on the beach certain times of the
Hmm.
day. And we walk with the dog. There's nothing like finding like sand between your toes. Of course,
Yes.
the water in Maine is freezing. So
is
but oh
it?
my God, yes. It is so cold.
Oh,
Can you imagine the St. Lawrence River? It's like,
but it's that touching dirt. It's that
Yes.
touching dirt and getting
yeah,
grounded and
and
just
the smell.
there's so much peace to
Yes,
it.
there is.
I do have one more question for you.
I know we're running out of time, aren't we?
I no rush on this, but I want this question. You've had a long career, a long marriage and life. What what is the best piece of wisdom
Oh my God.
that you could give out to somebody, or that one piece, if there was anything? I know that's a big one.
It is a big one, and it's a
So
hard
many, I know.
I think about the hard times that
Mm.
that I've been through, mostly because of pain, not
Losing my
necessarily
connection.
because, oh no. And I think about the fact that if somewhere along the line I had not learned to be, um, my husband calls it stubborn.
Ah,
I would call it perseverant,
Mhm.
but
The indomitable will.
if somewhere along the line I hadn't learned to push through things, to get through them, to understand that the potential that life has, despite all the hard things, I'm not sure I'd be surviving right now because I get up every morning and what would bring me the biggest joy right now is to get up one morning to no bad news,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
mm,
Yes.
to, you know, and not in pain. Let's add the not in pain too.
Not in pain. Yes. But
Not in
yes.
pain would be a great way to start any given day, but
Right?
it would be really nice to not. And there are times where I just have to tune it out. I have to turn off the
Yes.
television. I can't look at anything. I just have to be. And that right now, I'll have to be honest, that's my time to of joy in the evenings. Everyone's asleep, John's asleep, the dog's asleep, and I'm sitting in the living room and it's quiet. Not that I haven't been joyful the rest of the day, but that's my centering time. And I
Hmm.
think that's what we all need. We need to find something that centers us and allows us to quiet our brains for a little while and allows us to just be. Because without that, it's like the poor sleep we get with fibro. We don't heal ourselves
yeah,
psychologically
yeah,
if
Right.
we don't
Right.
give ourselves time to just be. We are not going to be the be end all and be all to everybody. There's going to be people who
No.
don't like us, who are going to try to bring us down, who we're not going to get along with. And we, at some point in our lives, we begin to realize that their opinion doesn't matter. We have to be
yes,
we have to be comfortable with who we are to be genuinely ourselves. And if we want to see our children happy, if we want to see our selves happy, we have to find a place in ourselves that we're happy with ourselves. And that's hard to do. It took me a
that
long
is.
time to
I
find
was
that.
about to say that's it for me. It feels like a lifelong challenge
Yes,
to do
it
that.
is. It
This
is.
is part of, yeah, absolutely.
But
But
I
I'm
found
starting.
mine.
My
I
connection
just
kind of dropped, so I kind of lost the first thing. But for me, the wisdom, what I understood is that you it's the perseverance, right? Like that your
Well,
piece of advice on wisdom, is that what you said?
it's perseverance, but the perseverance is a personal perseverance. It's the willingness to see yourselves through a hard time in your job, a hard time in what's going on in the world around you. Doesn't matter what it is, but without that perseverance, I mean, I'm not perfect by any means. God, no. And very
none of
easily,
us are.
I get very easily overwhelmed. I have anxiety. It took me a long time, even as a psychologist, to admit that I had anxiety and to ask for help.
Mm.
Hmm.
Uh, I went
We
through therapy when I was in graduate school because I don't think anybody can be a good psychologist without having been through therapy themselves.
I have to
Uh,
say, when you go in, usually that's when you start going.
yeah,
When you go to the school, and then you're like, people are like, yeah, but, and I remember that you're going to be your main tool. Like, why don't you invest in this tool?
yeah.
And the first one is therapy. And how can you also understand, what? Anyways, it's just part of the. I
Well,
think it's part of the
you have to
process
be
too.
able to understand what your clients are going through. And if you've never been
Yeah.
through therapy, you don't know what it's like to be on the other side of I say couch, the other chair, however. I mean, I spent
Hmm.
27 years doing play therapy with kids, more than 27. I was 27 in one district, I was 4 in others. So over 30 years doing play therapy with kids. Um,
But that's so
but,
important, right? Anyways,
but
I'm looking at the time. I won't have. Yeah,
I know,
I mean, it's such a different type of intervention too, play therapy.
yes.
I mean, I could talk to you for hours about just psychology and everything, but I mean, I love what you said. And Courtney said, intentional perseverance. I love it.
Mhm.
And we've got so many people right now in the chat just going, woo. And like I said at the beginning, guys, I can't really type in the chat because the chat is on my tab, but we have 61 people. The chat's been very active.
Yes,
Everyone in this chat, we actually know you. I mean, thank you so much for being with us, Jason, Courtney,
Is
Niela,
is Brand is Brandon
Aida,
in the
sorry,
chat?
hi. Who?
Is Brandon in the chat?
I believe so. I saw him coming in at one point, so I don't know if he's still there. But
Brandon,
he was.
Brandon, this is for Brandon. Rouge Dior 999. You're welcome. You're welcome.
We'll send him a
thank
message.
everybody for listening to me spout for an hour.
No, this you
Come on.
have
you are
talking with you. It's listening to you. You have so much wisdom, and I love hearing it because you have such a calming presence. So I do appreciate bringing you on and having you here so everybody else can feel the love for sure. No, this was great. I appreciate it. And
I've had a lot
I
of
want to
fun.
do this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Same. I mean, I just feel like
Thank
an
you for
hour is
sharing.
not enough.
No,
Yeah,
I'm like,
thank you.
It goes by so
You're
fast.
being so generous too with yourself. I mean, it's like, you know, that's where I hear the wisdom. It's like, I've learned all of this and now I'm just, you know, being open about it and sharing. And I find this is how people get inspired, you know, when other people are willing to just speak up and talk about their experiences.
And
without thinking and without being worried about what other people are going to think of them, right? That's
at almost 68 years old, I'm done with worrying about what other people think about me. The only people I really care about is my husband, my kids, and my friends. You know, everybody else, if you don't like me for who I am not willing to change for you. I'm not.
I love
not
that.
anymore. You know,
that brings me joy.
I need to be true to myself, and I can't. You know,
authentic self.
Authentic self is right. And that's if more of us did that, and if people were willing to share their wisdom to others, this world would be a lot better place.
I agree.
And what a great way to just, I mean, end this live, because you're right.
This
if
is wonderful.
people would just take
Mommy
that step
doesn't have
forward.
any food. My dad thinking I've got food for her because John is at the chair next to me eating lunch, and he gives her treats during meals when I don't. But she's sitting over here looking at me like, "Come on, Mom." In the meantime, Dad is there and bratwurst with her.
I love it. We have so many thank you in the chat that people are so thankful for this community. Blessed to have been here for this. Lucky brings the moms on. Great hangout. Take care, everyone. Fantastic. Thank you, everyone who are joining us.
Yes,
it
absolutely.
feels like we're getting to know everyone here, and you know, it's great. Authenticity, Jason, I agree. Guys,
if you can be anything, be kind.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Today, be kind.
Every day.
Right.
Every day, not just today, every day.
Starts today. If you're not being kind, start today, every day.
Yeah. And also, because I need to plug it in, don't forget, and I have to reverse my screen. Wait, where is it? Aha. Mirror camera. Don't forget to take time for life. You can find your merch on Sick. We'll put in the link later. Sick of this shit store publication.
Yes, because I make and peddle the merch, and I love it. It brings me joy.
Absolutely.
I love getting the merch because it has meaning, you know, and you bring it with you. And yeah, look, and we've got some people in the chat I know who got their mugs, right? Like the emotional
Canadians.
That's the Cobra Chicken division. Yes. I think
Yeah, we're getting more
the
members. I'm seeing. I
I
keep
think
seeing
so.
Eden.
So I think that Courtney might be the president of that, the Cobra
I
Chicken
agree.
division.
I agree. She is.
All right, guys, love you.
Love you
Thank you
too.
for joining us today.
It was
Thank you.
wonderful. Thank you.
Enjoy
Bye.
your
Thank you for
day.
your generosity. And we are off.